How well do you communicate with your spouse in a vehicle while traveling? Interesting question, right? I have been thinking about this for a while and thought, what a great topic in the world of communication with couples. So we get together as a couple and we're off to take a vacation or a family trip or Christmas trip or whatever it may be. And we're going to be in a vehicle for 1 to 5+ hours, depends on where you're going, of course. So, how does that look between you and your spouse? Do you guys get excited about spending that quality time inside a vehicle, one on one, where you can have some pretty deep conversations and maybe resolve some things between the two of you that you never had time for before because life is always busy? Or you're too tired at the end of the day to have that conversation, or you're scared it's going to get heated. Or are you one of those couples that they sit in the vehicle and they kind of look around as you're driving and, oh, shiny, the sun's out. Oh, look at the deer, just kind of casual conversation. And it doesn't really go very far. Or are you one of those couples where he's driving and he's focused on getting you to from point A to point B? And he says absolutely nothing except, do we need to stop to fuel up? Or do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you need snacks? And that's about all he really says. He doesn't have any conversations, no deep conversations, just kind of silence. How do you sit with that in the vehicle? How do you see your wife in the vehicle? Do you enjoy those times alone of, wow, we get to have some good conversation? Or do you like just kind of being in silence, maybe sort of like an introvert, just driving from point A to point B and just letting thoughts flow through your head, or maybe no thoughts flowing through your head? Well, I think this is a perfect time to maybe have a change of a mindset and look at it as how can we develop our communication to a deeper level. Here's an opportunity in a vehicle, 1 to 4+ hours, where you and your spouse can talk about anything, everything. The sky's the limit. And during this time, and you know what? If you're not great communicators in the vehicle, that's fine. You got to start somewhere, right? But take advantage of this time together and have those conversations, deep conversations, because the cell phones probably won't be ringing off the hook. You shouldn't be texting and driving. And, unless you're listening to audibles of some sort, you may just have music, and you can have music in the background. Maybe just turn it down a little bit and have that conversation where you're fully engaged in your spouse about whatever she brings up or whatever you would like to bring up. So this brings me to a story for myself. Um, Earlier in our marriage, our son, graduated, and I live in Canada, and he decided to go to university in the States to play basketball. It was 8-hour trip to travel. And of course, this was our first child graduating, moving 8 hours away. And my husband and I would try to set up when we could. Of course, running a business is a little difficult. And we would go jump in our vehicle and travel. And we learned, we learned through these 8 hours of, we'd go sort of through different seasons as we traveled. At first, we were pretty excited. We would reflect about our business, the store, what's going on, what could we do next for marketing, growing it. Then we would get into deeper conversations of like maybe things that was irking us or things that we were upset about, and we would bring those out. And sometimes those would get pretty heated in the vehicle, but we can't run away, right? We're stuck together in the vehicle. And so again, we would maybe have moments where we're both kind of silent, looking out the window, watching the fields, the lakes, people pass us, you know, stop to fuel up, go to the bathroom, grab some munchies or some soothing food for those quiet times. And then through the years, my husband and I have learned how to kind of poke at each other to get that communication going. So I might say something funny and he's trying not to laugh, and I'll maybe touch him or something like that while he's driving. And that'll sort of break the ice. I can tell he starts to kind of smile. Or he'll bug me and, you know, say, come on, you really want to go, or whatever, something to just cheer me up. And then that season is kind of closed. But sometimes we'll reflect back. Why did we get so angry? Why did we get so heated that we couldn't even talk to each other? What's going on? And so it's from our heart. Something's hurt us in our heart, or maybe there was words said earlier that week that weren't encouraging and they were hurtful. And so I hang on to stuff. My husband doesn't. He sort of like, he says it, gets it out of the air, and it's gone like a light switch. Me, as a woman, I kind of hang on to it. And if it really hurt, I can't let go, and I just kind of sit with it. But once I get to talk about it and say, like, you know, what you said to me the other day was really hurtful. And it bothered me. And it still bothers me. And so we can have that conversation and hopefully come to a safe place where, you know, he'll say, I'm sorry, hun. I didn't mean it that way, but I was frustrated because this was going on or that was going on. And he gets to explain why this popped up. And so I accept his forgiveness. And I also ask for forgiveness for being closed up and hanging on to it so long. So again, we work through that season. So we have these little, you know, these highs of we're excited to go see our son. And then we kind of go deep dive into some deep things that are going on in our marriage. And we kind of resolve them, not all the time, but most of the time. And then we kind of come up to, I would say, a balance, kind of a balance season where we're jolly and happy and, you know, talking about goofy things, or, you know, maybe what our friends shared with us or a customer or something like that. And then we get to our end place and we've kind of gone through all these different emotions where we're happy to see our son and we engage our visit with him. How can you relate to this? Can you relate to this? Again, it's a communication tool that sometimes we have to learn through our marriage, through years of being together and learning how each other copes in a situation. But be willing to forgive, be willing to listen, be willing to interact, and be open to asking those scary questions. Sometimes uncomfortable conversations are the best conversations. Sometimes silence is good. And sometimes silence needs to come out in a voice that can be heard. Again, it's in the presentation of, you know, are you a yeller? Are you a screamer? Are you a crier? Or are you a silent person? There's so many different personalities. And it's to figure out what works for you and what works for your spouse. Wouldn't it be great to turn around and reflect on those long trips together and say, you know what? Those were great times. I actually learned lots about my wife on this trip. Or I look forward to spending that time because there's a few things I want to talk about our future together, or maybe a different trip, or one of our kids, or something really deep, how you're feeling. Maybe a friend hurt you at work and you just didn't know how to voice that to your wife. And now you have this golden opportunity where you're sealed in a vehicle together with no interruptions to share what's really going on inside in your mind and in your heart. And what a safe place with a safe person to share it. So if you kind of resonated with anything I said in the last few minutes, but you're unsure how to get to that place, or you maybe would like to just work it out, how can we start this conversation? Should I have this conversation with my wife? I want to communicate deeper with her, is please leave a comment, reach out to me on my email as Karen at hopeformarriage.ca. And I would love to have a conversation with you and just talk about how can you take advantage of your trips inside a vehicle 1+ hours together and make them full of intimacy to grow your marriage closer together. Thank you.